My best friend is getting married today and I truly think they are making a mistake. Just as the title says, my best friend is getting married today. I've tried my best to be supportive, and gentle in my language if I must be honest, but I'm bursting with frustration. I know this is going to sound petty, and honestly I'm likely a bad friend for judging, but please hear me out. My friend is 23, marrying a man of the same age that they have been dating for about 8 months. At 5 months, they told me they were engaged, and that they were going to the courthouse on Halloween to get married. The only people invited are both of their mothers. A proper wedding ceremony will be held in the spring where everyone will be invited. I've already been told I'm one of groomsmen/maids of honor. I'm the best man of the bride, if there's a better name for that. Why do I have a problem with this? Besides the very short time they've been dating, my best friend is very quick to fall in love, and very quick to fall hard. Every person they have dated in the past 5 years has had the same thing said about them, the best person they've ever dated, and I've never loved someone so much. I genuinely don't mind it normally, as they have lots of love to give and how much they see love is one of their charms. But it has led to them getting hurt very often, especially by terrible men who take advantage of their feelings, usually financially. I'm worried they are jumping into this relationship too fast. I've met the fiancé/husband, and I don't hate the guy. He's okay, and hasn't shown many red flags. He even makes my friend happy, so I should be happy. The only big red flag is his inability to hold a job, quitting or getting fired frequently, especially quitting without telling my friend. I have talked about my concerns about them rushing this, but they brushed them off and gave me the same. I've never loved anyone like this before. So I've bit my tongue since and tried to support them. I even went shopping with them to pick out the wedding outfit like a best friend should. I know I sound like a bad friend, and I genuinely feel bad for being so apprehensive. I do also want to get ahead of any jealousy claims, since I'm a man and they are a woman and this is the internet. I am gay, having no interest in women. I love my best friend as family, not in any way romantically. Comment. You've already talked about your concerns, and that's where it should stop. You are a spectator henceforward to this wedding. Watch quietly. Your friend needs to make her own choices, and learn from them. I did the same. My best friend married a train wreck. I was maid of honor. Did an amazing bachelorette party. When she asked my opinion, I told her that I really hoped he was different to her in private, because I thought he was lazy, entitled, would never pull his weight of chores and seemed to be very my money is my money, your money is rent and bill money energy. She said her mom said the same, which caused me to make a face, apparently LOL. Then I told her I'd support her no matter what, and if she chose him I could respect that. She married him. 2 years later, I was the first call to come get her. They were getting divorced. I think as long as there's communication, most people will be lenient. When there's not communication, that's when resentment starts to build. For example, I had a friend freshman year of college who would go MIA for days, but there was never any indication that she was going to MIA, so eventually I just got so frustrated that I snapped, said I was over it, and we never talked again. There were other problems with communication, but that was the last straw. Cut to RN where I'm dealing with this same issue of another friend being missing in action a lot. The difference is they communicated they have serious anxiety RN and are struggling to stay afloat, so they are not texting anybody or hanging out with anybody. That communication has made our friendship even stronger. BC I can understand where she's coming from, as I also have serious anxiety problems, though they make me more codependent LOL, which means I'll reach out every few days, maybe once a week just to ensure she's still alive. All of this is to say, as long as you're upfront about your ADHD, I think most people will understand. If they don't, they're probably not people you want to be around in the first place. When a friend of mine got engaged, I had concerns re her fiancé, who was also a friend of mine. So I sat down with him, the fiancé, and put my concerns to him. He addressed my concerns and appreciated me doing the hard thing. Confrontation like that is extremely hard for me. Long story short, turns out he had undiagnosed BPD plus a few other things and the marriage ended badly. So as her friend, all I could do was be the best place for her to land. Sadly, I feel like you're probably in the same spot. It's hard and it's horrible. But all you can do is be there for her and hope to everything that they make it work, and if it falls apart, be there to help her pick up the pieces, without any I told you so. My wife's grandmother married her husband 6 weeks after they met. They were married for over 60 years, he died first, her a few years later. It might just work out for your friend. I mean, from what you've said the guy seems a bit flaky, so she might get sick of having to carry him all the time, but maybe love will endure. As others have said, be supportive while it's all going great, and be there for you friend if it all falls apart. My grandparents have a similar story. Married after a couple months, have been married for over 50 years. I got married after 8 months and divorced 5 years later, for a specific reason that may not remotely happen to Op's friend. It could work out, or it could not. Op just needs to be there for support no matter what happens. I hope it works out for Op's friend, truly. At this point voicing concerns couldn't have changed anything, their minds were made up. If I could go back in time I wouldn't have invested so much time in my friends' love lives. All it did was cause tension between friends and I wasted so much time and energy. My advice is to let it be, nothing you say will change her mind, just be there when and if she needs you. I watched my best friend get pregnant, planned, and marry an absolute horror show of a guy. At the wedding, me and the other best woe/man laid bets on how long they would last. It took her 10 years and 2 kids to finally break free. Sometimes, you just have to watch them make their mistakes, and be there for them to vent to and to help pick up the pieces when they've finally seen the light. And at least 50% of her kids were absolutely worth the 10 years, and now she just got engaged to a really good guy, so one dumb choice doesn't have to mean she'll derail her whole life, it just means she may take a little longer and some detours to arrive where she wants. Story 2. My dad's GF is trying to erase my mom. A little bit of background. I am attending college. I work as a waitress at a diner. I lived with my dad because our house was close enough to my college so I didn't have to live on campus. My dad let me stay rent-free as long as I did housekeeping such as taking out the trash, doing dishes, etc., which I thought was a good deal. This'll come into play later. However, due to the events I am about to explain, I am no longer living with my dad. I lost my mom to cancer about 3 years ago. My dad and I were devastated, and I never truly recovered. A little over a year ago, my dad announced he was seeing a new woman. I officially met her when we all went out to dinner together at my dad's favorite restaurant. My dad's GF is a very loud and brash person, she doesn't have very much of a filter, and can get a bit impatient. I wasn't a huge fan of her, but I kept my opinion to myself for the sake of my dad's happiness. After a few months, my dad's GF moved in with us. Over the next year, my dad's GF became very pushy about us spending time together. She didn't care if I was sick or tired, or how much work I had to do, she was obsessed with us going out and doing some activity together, which, might I mention, was always something she wanted to do, regardless of whether I liked it or not. She would hug me a lot, which made me very uncomfortable, and always talked about how we're the most amazing mother-daughter duo. Again, it made me agitated but I kept my mouth shut. Until one day shit hit the fan. I have a picture of me and my mom that I would keep at my bedside, when I lived with my dad. A week ago, it mysteriously disappeared. I asked my dad and his GF if they had any idea where it was, and my dad said I must have moved it while I was dusting. I spent the whole day looking for it. I couldn't find it anywhere in the house. I knew something was off because I would never just misplace a picture of my mom. In the evening, I was taking out the trash, and inside the dumpster was the picture, still in its frame with the glass cracked. To say I was livid would be a huge understatement. I didn't throw the picture out, and my dad has never touched it, so it had to be the GF. I got the picture out, and stormed inside the house. My dad and his GF were in their room upstairs. So I barged in and went up to my dad's GF, asking would you care to explain why this photo of my mom and I was in the dumpster? She denied it. She said she had never touched the picture, claiming I must have thrown it out by accident. I called her a liar, and my dad told me to show some respect. She then confessed to throwing out the picture, and proceeded to play the victim. She cried, saying she felt neglected and that I would never love her the same way I loved my mom and that she just wanted to be a part of the family, blah blah blah. I snapped. I told her that she was right, I would never love her like I loved my mom, because I would never love a lying bitch who stole from me. My dad took her side. He asked how I could be so cruel and that she just wanted to be loved and appreciated. I told my dad that his GF had always been annoying and overbearing. I said I had tried to make things work and was willing to put up with her for his sake, but that stealing from me and trying to erase my mom was where I drew the line. Even though I already knew the answer, I gave my dad an ultimatum. I told him it was me or his GF. He screamed at me to get out. So I took the picture, got in my car, and drove off. I ended up staying at my cousin's apartment for the night. My dad texted me saying to come get my stuff, that I was no longer welcome in his house, and proceeded to call me an ungrateful brat. The next day, my cousin and I went back to my dad's house, after making sure he and his GF weren't there, and we found all my stuff on the lawn. We loaded up everything into her car and took it back to the apartment. I blocked my dad and his GF, and I'm currently NC with both of them. I have now moved in with my cousin. We enjoy each other's company and she's happy to have someone to split the rent with. Comment. Your dad will regret this soon enough. You did the right thing. Just don't let him back in your life until you're ready. No, this is a situation where your anger is justified. I'm so sorry you've dealt with this, and welcome to the NC Club with the Sperm Donor Club. My DMs are always open. But I'm proud of you for standing your ground. Listen, sweetie, you did nothing wrong. She blatantly disrespected your space, disrespected your personal items, and even threw away a sentimental picture. Your dad is basically pussy whipped in my opinion. Sorry to be brash about it, but goddamn, to choose your so over your kids is bullshit. Congrats on getting away from his and her bullshit. I know it's sad, cause who would think you'd basically lose both parents, and one cause they chose a psycho bitch over their own kid. I hope your life going forward is nothing but good and happy, and hopefully someday your dad realizes how dumb he was for choosing anyone over you. Not sure if anyone's mentioned this yet, but if she's willing to throw away one photo, she could throw away other sentimental items too. I would consider gathering up those items / photos too if you're ever at your dad's house again, to save them from disappearing permanently. Absolutely wild how someone who made you / raised you can turn on you in a heartbeat. It happened to me too. It's been years, but it's still very raw. I often see men settle down with the first woman they get attention from after the love of their life leaves, and it's always with a super shitty someone, who more often than not alienates the blood. I hope your dad comes to his senses ASAP, and so good that you have a safe place to live. Sending love. If cutting some Rone out of your life improves it, you didn't lose them. My old man spent 5 years erasing memories of my mother. Anyone who voiced a fond memory of her was slowly swept off the board to appease the dog, the bounty hunter-looking woman he married. I have no idea what they've been up to for the past 6 years, because they took my mother's ashes, which they essentially stole from me and kept hostage so their house would be the family gathering point, on the anniversary of her death, and scattered them somewhere together. They told no one that they were doing it or where it was done. Basically, I got to feel her loss all over again, shiny and new. Last I knew, her adult son, who shares my first name, was living on their couch, so I was literally replaced by a different model son. Unless the information comes to them from someone else, my children will not even be taught his name.